Okay, so I'm going to help you with the next part of the project, which is completing the macronutrient charts. But before I do that, I kind of want to talk about what the last step of the project is, because it can help you a lot when completing the charts. So basically, the whole point of this project is you log your food for 2 days. You see what your nutrients are, like how many carbs you ate, how much protein, how much fats, what type of fats. And then we want to look at our diet and kind of make adjustments on how can we make this diet that we originally had and make it better and make it more well-rounded. So basically what you're going to do whenever you are done with the charts is you are going to do makeover days. So you're going to adjust your diet based on the information you find. So in your adjustment, you have to include at least 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have to include all food groups. So you want to have a protein, a grain, which is a carb, vegetables, fruit, and dairy. And then you want to make sure that you're meeting those nutrient goals. So if you go to the food that you logged, you'll see that there are like green and red numbers here, and you want to be sure that you are meeting those goals. And so you want to keep that in mind when you're doing the chart portion of the project, so that you can kind of talk about how you're going to make adjustments based on what you originally had. So with that said, let's kind of talk about how you do these charts. You will go here to reports. So it says reports, and there's this little drop down menu, and you are going to fill out the chart. So if I go to the chart where I'm starting, it says carbs. So I would click this little drop down and I would go to carbs. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the average of the 2 days that you ate. So here it says 256 plus 215. I would add them together, because that's how you take the average. 256 plus 215. I'm doing it on my phone calculator right now. And then I would divide that number by 2. So my number is 235 and a half for carbs. So I would write 235 and a half. My goal, okay, is right here, this red line. It says I should have 213 carbs. So then it's asking, are you over, did you meet, or are you under your goal for carbs? So then I should get 213. I got 235 and a half. So I was over, okay? So it's saying, what do I need to help reduce this number? My biggest pet peeve is people will say, I'm just going to remove this. But clearly you had that because you were hungry. So you can't just take it away and just not eat, like eat less. You need to replace it with something that is going to make that number better. So first thing I need to do is I need to figure out why I was over. Why did I get 235? So I'll go back to my screenshots, okay? And here it says carbs, and I can follow carbs down, and I can figure out what made my number for carbs so high. So I would usually be looking at the things that are a little bit higher. On this day right here, if you see, I had a Dr. Pepper, which was 40 grams of carbs. And on this second day, I had a Cherry Coke, which was 42 grams of carbs. So if I eliminate those unhealthy options for carbs, then that can help me adjust those numbers. So what I would say here is I was over on my carbs. So what am I going to help reduce this number? I am going to replace my Cherry Coke and Dr. Pepper with either water or a zero option, which will reduce my carbs. Obviously, we know that Coke has sugar. Sugar gives us carbs, and so we want to kind of make that adjustment. If I met my goal, okay, it wants you to list specific foods. So then you would just literally list foods that you ate that had carbs, okay? And then if you were under, it's going to say, what can you add to help you reach your goal? What I would consider when you're doing this is, do you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner? If you don't have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you need to add a carb to one of those meals, because part of the project is you need to have a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, okay? Then you will continue doing this for every single one. So then you go to fiber. So I would go here, I would do the little thing, I would go to fiber, and it's going to say 10 and 12. So I got 22. 22 divided by 2 is 11. So I would write 11 here. It's saying that I'm a female, so I should have 25 grams of fiber. I'm clearly under. So it's saying, what foods can you add to help you reach your goal? I would literally Google, because you guys probably don't know, foods with fiber. And then it has all of these things that can give you fiber. So I would say, okay, maybe I didn't have breakfast and I needed to add breakfast. So I would say I would have apples with peanut butter for breakfast because number one, I need a breakfast for later in the project. And number two, apples give me fiber. So that could help. So then I would say, I will add apples to my breakfast. This gives me fiber, plus it will add a breakfast for the next part of the project. Okay, and then you continue doing this. You have to think about it. This one's a little bit different because it says if you're over, clearly if we're over, we do not want to, we want to reduce that number. So you would look at foods that were high in sugar, and then we would say 2 replacement foods that would obviously give us less sugar. And then if we're under, then we would explain like how we would stay under on the sugar intake. So that's how you do that portion of the project.